Welcome, everyone. We have a very special guest today. This is my friend Kieran. Kieran and I go back to, is it summer 2019?
Yes, sir.
We met working together at Camp Skylemar in Maine. Very good time. We were both the ropes counselors, and good time getting the kids up on the cope. I guess high, like it's just what is it? High ropes and kind of like team building activities. We led the kids through that, and it's a good time. Kieran and I became really close. He plays lacrosse at Swarthmore. Very excited to have him on. We're gonna pick his brain a little bit. We're gonna learn a lot from him. But yeah, here's Kieran, and I guess yeah, Kieran, just tell us a bit about yourself.
Ready for it. I got a list of shout outs before I start. So the shout out list is going to start with Good Shepherd Montessori School. That's where I come from. Andrew Garvey, in particular, my middle school teacher. That's the homie to this day. Shout out my boy Sharia is hanging out in the room over here. So he's going to peep the conversation as well. I'm going to shout out my boys Eric and Luke, Eric Stefan Stankovsky and Luke Petrantonio, two of my homies on SWAT Men's Lax that are doing good stuff on campus, running Stand, a student organization to rethink, you know, boys and the way that they talk with each other, the way they form community, especially in university and athletic spaces. Shout out my boy Joel Pawson, who lives with me. He's starting a new coalition of Philadelphia area-based schools that want to do social justice work. Shout out Jaina, shout out Abbas, shout out George, shout out the leadership for ADI, Swarthmore Athletes for Diversity and Inclusion. Shout out the founders of that and the people that were running last year, Lay, Bell, Emma. Shout out Skylemar. That's how we met. This is a long list. We're going to keep going. Shout out the Shep family. They're the ones. Shout out Swarthmore Athletics. We'll shout out Amherst Athletics as well. I don't know. You
Hey.
choose if you want to shout out Amherst Athletics.
Yeah.
And shout out the 574. I'm from South Bend, Indiana, here to represent.
Oh, today we love that. All right, so I guess tell me about your fall semester, because I mean a lot of students had to like, or I guess it's different for a lot of students. I guess for me, like I wasn't able to go back to campus because I just didn't have enough space. So like I didn't return. I had to do remote classes. But tell us what it was like at Swarthmore and what you were up to.
Yeah, so this fall I was actually doing classes online. I went out with a couple friends. We spent time in Colorado, wanted to be in nature. We were lucky enough to find a house sort of cheap, Airbnbs for the half price. And so we spent a couple months out there. It was a good reset. I think we built a really positive environment during a year that was filled with a lot of negativity. I spent a lot of time at home. That wasn't exactly my plan, but I'm taking advantage of it. I'm with the siblings, with my cousins. So that's been a sort of blessing in disguise. And I'm back at school now. Juniors and seniors are here for the spring. So we're in the home stretch, finishing up some projects, but it's nice to have my own space again.
Nice. And what are you studying? What are you studying?
Study history and Spanish, a little double major action. So it's been a good mix.
Yeah. I remember when we were at Skylemar, you left kind of early because you went to Chile. So tell us about that experience.
Man, I don't even know where to start with that one. Chile was crazy. Shout out Chile. Chile is dope. Shout out my boy Hector. That was my host family, my host brother. He was the one that really showed me the ropes. I got really immersed in the local culture, and I was lucky enough to be there during a really pivotal moment in their history. It was a massive social movement. It's more than 1 million people in the street protesting for months on end. They recently sort of got a small victory in their eyes, but a large victory when you put it in context that Chile is going to have a whole assembly to rewrite their constitution, which was sort of a remain from the military dictatorship of Pinochet, who was president until 89, and then he was removed, but through a popular vote, he sort of tried to finesse the popular vote, and then he remained the head of the military until 99. So, 20 years later, it's a new generation of kids that are graffitiing the entire city, that are going on strike in classes, that are damaging metro lines, micro, which is the bus. So, they really paralyzed the city. They showed that they're about it. And I learned a lot from being in that situation.
Nice. Yeah, it sounds like an amazing experience. I also got to go abroad last fall. Nothing like you, where going to Chile, but so I went to England and I have a lot of family there, so it's not really like a new experience for me. But just being able to go abroad and have that experience is really cool. And I remember you telling me about some of the articles you were writing um, after that trip, and I was excited to read them. And it looked like you had a lot of fun. So glad you got to do that. Yeah.
Most definitely, bro. Being able
Yeah,
to
man.
travel, I kind of took for granted until this year. But here
Yeah.
we are.
So is there anything on your mind, like anything you want to like talk about, or what are you thinking?
Man, that's a loaded question, but I have a lot of answers.
Yeah.
So I guess a good place to start is we're about to graduate, trying to sort of find our role in the world, figure out how to reconcile the fact that we're worried about all of the things wrong with the world. There's sort of this sense of impending doom. Everything is on fire all around us. But we're supposed to compose ourselves and carry ourselves like adults and do things people really haven't taught us. So, I think that's where my head's at. That's sort of the personal project for the moment is
Hmm.
figuring out how to be at peace with how I'm supposed to exist in an
Hmm.
imperfect world, how to manage my expectations, how to process emotions in a healthy way. So I've been able to sort of depend on my friends in that process and um, really build some strong relationships, which is especially cool during a year like this.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that's a good place to start.
Yeah, man. No, I feel you. And like I guess mental health is a big part of that too. And like it's very important to like during these tough times, that you're always checking up on yourself, making sure that like your mind's right. And I think just having goals, having objectives and trying to do those is like a good way to, like stay on like I don't know. I feel like that for me helps me keep good mental health. Just staying busy, but also like having fun, meeting people, I guess, or it's kind of hard to meet people during COVID, but like, just making friends and just doing things that I wouldn't be able to do. I'm trying my best, but um, yeah, man, it's COVID's tough. And I don't know, I think after school, I don't know, I think after school, my plan is to go to grad school, hopefully go to grad school. So hopefully we play abroad and that'd be sick. And I'm thinking about data science, so it's a lot of work, but we'll get through it, and it'll be rewarding in the end. But that's kind of like my like goals right now, just trying to get into grad school and stuff like that. And I guess I got to figure out my summer plans too. And there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff, but yeah, no, keeping good mental health is very important, and it's good to know that you're also thinking about that as well. Yeah.
Absolutely, bro. Where have you applied to grad school?
I haven't applied yet because I still have like quite a bit of time. Because abroad, that I think the applications aren't due until maybe like a month or two before the program starts. And so my program would start in September 2022. Um, so it means I don't have to like finish my application until like summer. So I'm excited, but sorry, I was saying I'm looking at St. Andrews in Scotland. It's like that's my like number one like on my list because of soccer and also being in the UK. So yeah, but
That's crazy. I gotta link you. I got a couple homies that are at St. Andrews. Let me
really,
know. I'll do
dude,
it.
I was surprised. There's so many Americans at St. Andrews,
Yeah.
and
They got
I was looking at the women's soccer roster, and everyone on the team is from the US except for one girl who's from Scotland. But everyone else on that team is from the US, which I thought was wild. Yeah.
That's sick. So you can go and play over there.
Yeah. But yeah, man. What about like I guess lacrosse? Like what what is going on this semester?
Man, a little bit of a sore subject. We are actually not allowed to compete this semester. We had last season cut short. We played 6 games. So between COVID, lacrosse being canceled, some personal family health issues, and abroad, my last 2 years have been very chaotic to say the
Mhm.
least. So I've had time away from lacrosse in, long amounts of time for the first time since I was 9 years old or 12 when I started taking it more seriously. But either way, I grew up with that. So, figuring out how to entertain myself, how to build relationships outside of that sphere, how to transition to another phase in my life. That's been kind of crazy. How to stay in shape when you're not playing, how much to be eating, how to
Yeah,
take care of your body, how to get rid of all of the residual in your wrists, your elbows. You know how it is. Your joints just ache. You got to
yeah,
get something right. You're not symmetrical. You're not strong in your core, all that type of stuff. So just kind of rebuilding the body. We're out on the field. I'm getting to work out. I get to be with my friends, but
hmm,
it's a little bit this bittersweet, I guess.
yeah, yeah, man. Sorry to hear about that. I mean, especially like spring sports, you guys have had it so rough, like with the season being cut short, and then I guess coming back now to school is like there's not really much going on. So I really feel bad for you guys, but it's good to hear that you're still grinding, and it makes me happy. So I wanna watch one of your lacrosse games sometime. So hopefully you guys play Amherst in like the NCAA or something.
Man, we play Amherst. I'm going crazy, and I'm going to say some crazy things on the field too. None of these kids are ready for the type of chirps coming
I
their
might
way.
I might have to be a Swarthmore fan for the
Yeah,
day.
just might.
Yeah, yeah, man. You got any like ideas what you're up to this summer?
Um, I have a lot of ideas. Following through, not so much the issue as picking one and maintaining focus.
Yeah,
My brain is sort of all over the place. I think about everything all at once, so I have to really actively try to slow down and like you were talking about with goals. Like if I don't have a routine in the morning, I can't map out what I'm doing, where I'm going, much less 4 months from now, 2 years from now, that type of thing.
yeah,
Um, but as I've grown up, you got to learn how to do that type of stuff.
yeah.
So I'm thinking about being a teacher. I've applied, I've had a lot of interviews with schools. I filled out a profile with Southern Teachers, which is a free service, and they help pair you with independent schools that are all over the South that pay to use the service to match with teachers. So that's been really cool.
Hmm.
Cheap, good weather, proximity to hiking. That's the number one thing on my mind at the moment. Actually, that's what makes me happy,
Yeah,
especially social distance. I love being in nature, so I'm trying to. I hope that works out. I've applied to a couple of other jobs. I don't know that my resume really speaks to a corporate career that's going to land me the type of payday some other kids are going to get when they graduate.
yeah,
But I have some options, and I'll be doing something exciting that I care about next year. I'm not out here trying to get rich. I'm gonna live off of whatever I can, and hopefully get a cheap mortgage right now with some negative interest rates so that I can
yeah,
flip a house while I
yeah,
live in it. That's the dream at the moment.
yeah, yeah, man. You were talking about education. I was also thinking about going into teaching because I don't know. I just feel like I feel like I'm like a good teacher. Like even though I've not had like experience like actually teaching like a classroom or anything, but I feel like I can like teach people things well, and I really enjoy helping people. So education is something I always thought of. I haven't really like looked more into it like in terms of like finding like internships or finding like jobs in teaching, but I've really like I don't know I've really like kept close I guess with education, and like I'll get those emails from like handshakes saying oh there's like urban teachers or but yeah I actually no also I actually applied this summer. I applied um to an it's to a internship in New York where I'll be teaching math to children from like I guess underprivileged areas of New York, and I hope that it works out because that'd be great. Get some experience teaching, and also teach them a little bit of soccer as well, kind of like Skylemar. But actually, I want to talk about that. Let's talk about the what do you think the differences between teaching at Skylemar and teaching like in general, just like regular teaching?
It's a good question.
Because we had quite the experience with kids in at Skylemar. So what I guess what was your take on working at Skylemar?
Yeah, we did. Man, there are some good stories. We can't name drop for privacy.
We can't name drop. We can't name drop, but
we can't name drop. But there are some characters out there. You know, what I will say first about Skylemar is that the Shep family knows what they are doing. There are, you know, if you think about sleepaway camp and you're from where I'm from, I didn't grow up going to camp like that. There's sort of a stereotype about it being some hoorah, you sit around the campfire, and you know, there's elements of that at any place that is going to do those things. You can have that sort of confirmation bias. You can go in thinking that. But Skylemar makes it really hard. You know, it's almost like jarring when you get there. They're all talking about the history. Everybody knows the songs. They're talking about family. You got Shep calling you baby and you're grown. You know, it's a set of counselors from all over the country. But it was a really cool experience. Like I never, you know, I guess what I would say is before I sort of thought about education as educators had to have a certain type of disposition,
Mhm.
you know, or you have to have a certain skill set. And what I realized there were counselors with all different types of skill sets that were able to relate to kids in different ways. And, you know, there's 200 kids, there's all different types of kids. So it was sort of like everybody had a role and people figured out which kids they could relate to, which kids they could keep in line, which kids they could share wisdom with, you know. And in some ways, I think being at Skylemar is even harder than teaching because you're with the kids all day and you're with them for a long period of time. They're not with their family. So there's this extra emotional layer. And I mean, it's an all boys camps and everybody's going through puberty. And so there's all of these sort of complex layers that you have to navigate. Plus, you're in a bunk. Plus, you sort of have to be their friend, right? But you have to maintain boundaries at the same time because you're the adult, you're in charge, you're supposed to be responsible, but you want them to trust you, to like you. So, man, like it was a lot of that type of learning on the fly, like, you know, managing a little scuffle between kids playing basketball. But if you have some petty 13-year-olds, that could escalate. And then you have
Mhm.
bunk wars. And then all of a sudden, kids are stealing my fruit snacks and I'm mad for the first time all summer, you know? So, man, I definitely am more patient after that summer. That is what I'll say also.
Yeah, man, I agree. Like, I don't know. I wasn't. I guess I didn't expect, you know, like I thought, okay, we're gonna be teaching kids, like it'll be fine. Like, we're just gonna like coach them and like I guess teach them how to play soccer and then I guess tell them to go to sleep whenever they have to go to sleep. But I didn't realize all the other things that you need to be a good counselor and like in order to like properly take care of these children. Like there's so much more to that, and I'm actually glad I had that experience because now I know I'm prepared. Like if I ever have to be a camp counselor again, or if I ever have to deal with kids in that age group, you know, I'm prepared and I know that, oh, like one of my kids doesn't want to take a shower, well, I'm gonna have to convince him to take a shower, you know, something like that. Like, yeah. But what are some of your like crazy, I guess, do you have any like wild stories of kid with your kids or you know anything funny?
Hmm. I'm trying to think what the funniest thing that I'm able to tell is. I don't know. This is a good opportunity. Can we say people's names? I don't think we can.
I
I
feel
had
like
this
we
one kid. Yeah. What were you gonna say?
I said I feel like we could name drop just once.
All right. What I will say is shout out Cyan. That kid was an angel. That kid kept me sane in my bunk.
Yeah.
And you know, I had a good time with all of those kids. I think, especially meeting everybody's family at the end and hearing day to day, you have kids, you think that they're not having a good time, or, they don't feel like they fit in with other kids. And then these kids' parents come and they're like, they've only said positive things about you. You get these glowing reviews that sort of validates all of the work that you've been doing all summer. Like, you're really acting as a caretaker. Like, that's something I was going to say earlier when you were talking about teaching. Like, you already have that skill set, bro. So you'll be able to return to that whenever it's presented as a possibility in your life. Like, you interact with kids amazingly.
Mhm.
You're having fun with them. You're not getting upset. You're not, you're in control. You're able to distill information to pass on to them. So that's pretty cool. That wasn't
Yeah.
exactly a story, but it's all right.
No, for sure, for sure. I guess there was one time, I guess I can tell you that, I guess I can say this. Um, I won't name drop it too. I won't name drop, but one of my campers asked me if I could buy him a giant like water fountain bottle. You know, like the big water fountain bottles.
Yeah.
And I asked him, I was like, what do you need this for? And he wouldn't tell me. And I was like, well, I'm not gonna buy it for you unless you tell me what you want. And then I talked to the so I talked to one of the counselors who had the same kids the year before, and he said, and I was telling him, I was like, oh yeah, this kid wanted a water bottle thing. And he's like, no, do not get do not get one. And I was like, why? And I was like, he built booby traps in the bunk last year. I was like, no. So yeah, I just thought that was funny. Like, these kids are actually like very, very smart as well. And like they could build stuff, I was surprised, how like intelligent these kids are. So yeah.
Definitely, bro. We had some good co-counselors also. Shout out to Anya, bro. Shout out to Liam. We had Evan and George there.
Yeah.
We had a good crew. Shout out to Lucas.
Yeah. Shout out to Lucas. Shout out to my bunk counselor Jordan, the man.
Absolutely. Shout
That
out my other
was
counselor, Cole.
yeah, that was such a great
LP.
time.
Yes.
Um, yeah, but yeah, shout out Lucas. Yeah, you should invite Lucas. Let's bring up Lucas real quick. No, but
Another time.
yeah, another time. But yeah, man. I guess um, I guess lastly, I'll ask. Is there anything you want to say, or any advice you'd give on anything really? Kind of just like speak, bless us, enlighten us.
Speak on it. All right. So, man, there's a couple of directions I could take this. I guess I'll focus on three. This is like an essay, little different parts. One, I'm sort of on a spiritual mission. Interesting. I was raised in a religious family. I sort of rebelled, rejected the idea. I'm not back on the wave of a formal institutionalized religion, but I am seeing the value in viewing the energy and different things in the world, in like experiencing the beauty of each individual moment in time, the nature around me, the things that are provided for me. We're in a dorm room full of stuff.
Yeah.
And we never think about where's the stuff coming from, who's involved in making this, at what cost did I obtain this? Everything is an exchange. There's nothing that's a one-way transaction. What's real in this world that's full of technology? So those are sort of the types of questions I've been dealing with, and I've been writing a lot to process. I've been trying to take a step back and quiet my thoughts a lot. That's been awesome. Doing a lot of mindfulness work. I'm really valuing mantras right now. So things I scribble over and over again in notebooks. A good one for me, I have a hard time picking up social cues sometimes. I don't know what you want to call it, but when I see people when I'm walking, rather than, tweaking like, oh, is that person? What do they think about me? I'm going to be weird. And you get out of your sort of present moment. I just repeat to myself, human, every time I see somebody. And it sounds weird, but like, that's been valuable.
Yeah.
All right, that's one. Two, trying to be a teacher. I want to talk about some education. Shout out to Anne Renninger. She's an expert in interest, motivation, and learning. She's a mentor that I've had some courses with. I've learned a lot about designing pedagogy, designing interventions to assist kids to boost their performance, their, self-concept, their creativity, their engagement with class, that type of thing. And so now, going into being an educator, I've been thinking a lot about, how can I get the kids that don't want to come to school every morning to love coming to school? Because even if you read a lot of academic literature on education, it's all about, we're overstudying what's going wrong, when the answer is, resources are being taken from poor communities of color and given to charter schools, vouchers, whatever the case may be. And then we come up with these metrics to justify why those schools are underperforming, not filled to capacity. And it's like, well, yes, combine that with gentrification and your zoning laws, and you're just, you're killing these schools and then blaming it on people. And then to act like education is this equalizing force when your education level doesn't even correlate to the job you can get anymore. And so I'm trying to take all of that and, like we were talking about, distill it into something. I want to teach middle school, because personally I had a great middle school teacher. We were with eighth graders. I was with eighth graders at Skylemar. I have that sort of, I can mimic the immaturity. I can sort of poke fun at kids when they poke fun at you. But I also treat younger kids like they're older, and I think that was something I really valued as a kid. And so I'm figuring out how to turn all of these ideas that I have that are sort of complicated and, are in a lot of cases my own subjective opinion, and figure out how I can relay that type of information to kids. But at the end of the day, the bottom line is we should empower kids to be like thinking of themselves as incredibly smart. Like you said, all these kids at Skylemar, like, kids are smart, they're witty, they're drawing, they're coming up with all of these creative, like, imaginary worlds. They're trying to learn skills, they're modifying their language constantly, they're picking up on behavioral cues. They keep you fresh too, like you can't ever be behind on something. The kids in our bunk were putting me on to music. So just, Sharia's laughing too. He told me the other night, he was like, man, I can't be around kids like that. But man, kids inspire me. I remember thinking people didn't value my input as a kid. And we should uplift what kids say, because they're honest. They see through all of the, I'm not going to say that. I'm not allowed to say that. They see through all the nonsense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So shout out the youth. Shout out my little sister, Annalise, and my other siblings, Julie and Connor, but mostly Annalise.
Yeah.
Man, there was a part 3, but honestly, that was kind of a workup. All right, we'll do part 3. Love yourself. Love yourself. Love yourself. Care for yourself. Don't feel bad if you want to go to sleep and you don't have to have FOMO. Do the things that make you happy. Don't worry about if you're good at things, how things look to people. Do things because you love them. The world's a beautiful place. I'm somebody that gets mad depressed sometimes. I like to stare at walls, but at the end of the day, the world is sort of yours to live. And so go have fun.
Yeah, man. Bro, you're the GOAT, man. This guy said he wants to be an educator. He's just taught me so much today. You're the man.
You're the man for hosting me. I appreciate it, bro.
Yeah, dude. Thanks, man. Thanks for coming on. It's great to catch up with you as well. It's been so long. Dude, maybe over the summer, once we get back in the Midwest, we can link up, because you're not too far away.
Absolutely. Chicago reunion. I need this vaccine stat. Shout out Joe Biden for defeating Donald Trump, but also Joe Biden, get better.
Yeah, bro. But honestly, it's been a pleasure, and thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for teaching me about education and so many other things that you've been researching, and it's just been a great convo, and I miss you, bro. I wish you the best in everything you do.
Absolutely. The feeling is mutual. Thanks for doing this. Thank you for putting on and, being a new image for Amherst Athletics, bringing some of the talent at the D3 level to light, and just for your friendship, bro. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Hey, would you ever go to Skylemar again? Would you ever be a counselor again?
Man, I would like to see the day where my life is uncomplicated enough I could go back to Skylemar. We'll see. But shout out Skylemar.
Yeah, no, shout out Skylemar. And if I would go back, I would go back. How about that? But yeah, shout
Yeah,
out Skylemar. Thank you for creating this friendship. Best all boys camp out there, in my opinion. So yeah.
absolutely. All
But
right,
other than
bro. Have
that,
a good night, Sean. Lots
yeah,
of
bro.
love.
We'll see you, Kieran.
Yes, sir.